So I would like to welcome everyone, including Miroslav, whose voice probably we heard just now, to this webinar, which is organized by the Policy Answer project. So I will moderate this session, and my name is Sanja Damjanović. I work at the GSI Helmholtz Center for Heavy Iron Research in Darmstadt, Germany, which is one of beneficiary partner in the project. And I'm really happy that today our webinar will be focused on important topic of research and technology infrastructures, including emerging opportunities for the Western Balkans. We will have a very dynamic session with three speakers, Lisa Cowey, Director of the Technology Transfer Interface in UK, Siniša Marčić, who is Senior Expert on Human Capital Development at RCC, and Damir Medved, Syntagent Board Member and University of Rijeka from Croatia. So I would just shortly highlight our previous webinars and speakers, and our webinars are mostly focused on important EU policy instruments for alignment, such as European partnerships, European EU missions, smart specialization strategies. But I'm very happy that this webinar will be focused on another important EU instrument, research infrastructures. And before I give the floor to our speakers, I would like to highlight our recently published policy brief and policy report on the promotion of research infrastructure in the Western Balkans. And these documents you can download from our Western Balkan Info Hub. With that, I would like to thank our speakers, and I invite them now to take the floor. And we will start with the first speaker, Lisa. So Lisa, the floor is yours. Now I stop sharing my screen.
Sanja, thank you very much for the warm introduction. Thank you to everybody for joining us today. There are some good familiar faces in the audience, also some people that I don't think that I have met before. So that's good. I hope we'll be able to talk more during the question and answers. I'm just starting to share the screen, which instantly means that all my notes and everything else disappear. Sanja, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Fine. Okay. And if I do that, does my screen move on?
Yes.
Good. Okay, then thank you. Today we are going to, I'm going to start by doing a quick overview in two parts. I want to start by looking at what research and technology infrastructures are. For some people, this will be a recap. For some people, it might be a bit new. I'm going to focus on some particular issues that are important for the second half. And I'm going to have a quick look too at what has changed recently. Part two, which for me is perhaps the slightly more interesting part, is when we're going to look at the results of a thought process that I went through in the last few months, where we look at what I've called regional opportunities, where I think that we have the possibility to strengthen our technology infrastructure, our research infrastructure, and to start building towards the twin transition. And that's why I'm particularly glad that we have Siniša and Damir joining us today, because they will, I hope, support what I'm going to try and present to you. So let's start quickly. Let's do a recap. What do we mean by research infrastructures? What are technology infrastructures? Research infrastructures, as recognized by the European Commission, are facilities, and they are designed to provide resources and services for research communities. Although it's also now recognized that they will also conduct research and foster innovation further down the line. And they don't just have to be used for research. You can also use them for education, for public service. And they come in different forms, as we'll see, single-sited, distributed, or virtual. And the Commission also says that for European research infrastructure, anything else that has a unique nature, which is open to external users. And we will keep coming back to this issue of openness. So to give you some examples, this is one I am pretty familiar with. This is ESS. This is on the outskirts of Lund. It's a huge neutron facility. It looked just like this over the weekend when I went past it and saw it from the road in a coach. Very big, STEM research, people doing deep physics. And it's one site. But you can also have research infrastructure that is distributed. And at this point, you can put it in different countries and different places. So a good example of this one I like is ELI. This is laser research, and this one is located in the Czech Republic and Hungary and Romania. Two reasons why this for me is important. Firstly, because it was the first to pioneer a new way of funding. Partly it used European regional, used the structural funds from Europe. And the second reason is that it is also one that gives you the opportunity for others to join at a later date. And I think that's important too, if you're a newer EU member state like Croatia, if you're somebody who's moving towards joining the EU, other people's research infrastructures are nice, but it's really nice if you can join them as well. And I worked for a while on a feasibility study for CALT in Croatia, who were hoping at some point to be able to join the ELI project. This is another example. This is both distributed and virtual. So this one doesn't necessarily have a physical location. This is a hub and spoke model. And the hub's actually located in the UK, outside what is now the EU, of course. And it has lots of national nodes, lots of centres of excellence, doing different things. And again, an example of something where if you can build a centre of excellence, you might have the possibility of joining that research infrastructure rather than having to become one yourself. A lot of people assume that they're for STEM. They don't have to be. This one here is not. This one is for health, ageing and retirement, SHARE. And again, lots of databases, multidisciplinary and cross-national, and it covers 28 European countries and Israel, and it links into other people's resources as well. So I think a really good example of social science, virtual and distributed research infrastructure. So the important things about research infrastructures is that they focus on early TRL and research, but they foster innovation. They can be physical and virtual, single-sided or distributed. They have opportunities for others to join, but they must be open. So if you're going to move from having research equipment to being a research infrastructure, you would say, what do you mean by open? There isn't a clear definition, as I see it, but I might say accessible, findable, and diverse users. Let's talk a bit about technology infrastructure then, because that's the next down the line. Technology infrastructure is designed to help industry lower costs and risks of technology development. So typical things, testing, prototyping, and validation, upscaling. So here we're now focused on higher TRLs, more focused on innovation, more focused on enterprises. It's a relatively new term. You now see it in a 2025 strategy. You can get mentions back to 2019. And you could say by definition, it's got to be open because it's aimed at enterprises and industry. And again, if we look at some examples, here we've got the Harsh Lab located in Spain, where you can put things in an underwater environment and see how they survive over time. You've got supercomputers. This one officially is located in the Czech Republic. They will show you buildings because you can't really show you supercomputers themselves. And then two others which perhaps start looking a little bit more like prototyping facilities. So here you've got one based in Italy. This is for mechatronics prototyping. And here the other one, which is for renewable energy development, which is based in Poland. And both of them are specialized facilities that are directly aimed at startups, at enterprises, at people looking to scale technology towards a market. So what has changed in the environment? Because there have been some changes in the quite recent past for RI and TI. We have had, in the last sort of 1 to 2 years, we've had a change to the European Charter for Access to Research Infrastructures. That was changed in 2024. We now have a strategy on research and technology infrastructures. That was 2025. We have a policy for technology infrastructures, which I find really interesting because they weren't really a term that we used until the last few years. And they're also mentioned in the startup and scale up strategy. And I'll come back to that because I think that's important for what we're looking at in the region here. And I went through these to look at what struck me in terms of changes that have taken place. It's not huge. It's often become more explicit. So in terms of open science, it used to be encouraged. You've got to apply FAIR principles. And whereas before we said broad user base, we're now saying much stronger focus on diverse users. So SMEs, industries, startups, scale-ups. The other things that I saw looking at this changed landscape that really struck me, given the work that I've done recently, was that they're talking very much about creating a continuum, research infrastructure, all the way to technology infrastructures. And this, for me, now implies much stronger linkages. We need networks to make this work. Again, they want to expand access for research, startups, scale-ups, and industry, which also implies to me we need more targeted funding. You've got to be able to pay to use technology infrastructure. And if we look at the EU startup and scale-up strategy, here we're saying that you should be seeing technology and research infrastructures as core startup support. Access to infrastructure is highlighted as essential to growth. And again, this for me implies linkages between technology infrastructure, research infrastructure, and startup programs and services. So these are the things I want to come back to, because these are the things that I think will shape our landscape. So part 2 at 11, 12 minutes in. Part 2 was inspired by some work I did with a team and for the Regional Cooperation Council late last year. I worked with a team from the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering in Niš, and our brief was to go out and map the ecosystems for deep tech and green manufacturing, those two ecosystems. Go back and see what was out there, look for synergies, look for companies, and report back. This created an enormous amount of data and information. It also created an opportunity to go out and crunch that data, to really analyze it and do some thinking. And over the course of pursuing that data and the thought, I started to think much more strongly about technology infrastructure in the Western Balkans. And this, for me, is where the opportunity lies that we ought to be looking at going forward. So when we started to map the ecosystem for our deep tech and our green manufacturing, we had to start by finding the companies. This used to be really difficult because it required you to get them to fill in surveys, and notoriously, they're far too busy to do surveys. But these days, with artificial intelligence, you can find them without them filling in a survey. If they're out there applying for grants, if they're under the roof of a hub, if they're doing anything that draws attention to themselves by being in a program or promoting themselves, they're visible to an AI deep research search engine. So you can go away and you can say, well, where are they? Which economy are they in? Which town are they in? Which hub are they in? Which programs are they locked into? Which funding sources have they got money from? And you can get very granular about this now. You can say, oh, right, so we found all these startups and scale-ups. What subsectors are they working in? Which ones are IoT enabled? Who's working on biotechnologies? Who's doing recycling solutions? So the degree of granular information you can get about the startup, scale-up ecosystem is now very high. And having done that, we then went out and we looked at where are the hubs and the support programs? Who is supporting deep tech? Who's supporting green manufacturing? And again, we built a picture of this. And it won't come as any surprise who we saw. I mean, we're seeing people like EDIF, we're seeing people like GIZ. If you look at the main ecosystem players, these are very familiar to you. So Albania, EU for Innovation, very major player in this. If we go across to Serbia, STP Belgrade, STP Novi Sad and Niš, people like Biosense, the names should not come as a surprise to you at all. But again, once again, you can drill into the detail here. Who are they supporting? How are they supporting them? Which subsectors are they supporting? And you can cross-reference that with the work that you've already done on the companies, the enterprises and the startups that you have located. So that gives you your regional support, your hubs and your programs for these two different ecosystems. And then you can go after the research performing organizations, the research institutes, the universities, whoever out there is doing research. And you can do this in many different ways these days. So you can be very purist about it. And you can say, well, I only want to know where people have strengths based on peer-reviewed papers. And I would like to know where people are doing peer-reviewed research with high impact that ties into those subsectors that we have looked at. Or you can say, take out the peer-reviewed papers. Just show me the other information that you can get. and you can do this for both the deep tech, and you can do it for the green tech. So we have done it there. That one shows you there for green manufacturing in the Western Balkans. We have another one for the deep tech as well. And you can go out and you can look at the funding as well. So you can see which funding organizations, like the Innovation Fund Serbia, Innovation Fund Montenegro, the changing support that's now coming out of North Macedonia. And you can say who supports quite specifically these two different groups. Do you have specific funding for them, and what does it offer? And you can say, and who are the companies that you've supported? Because that's public knowledge. So once again, you can scrape the granular system here to say, if we look at who we found in this first mapping, and we now look at who the innovation funds are telling us that they have supported, do those two align? Do we have different groups coming in? Where's the different money coming in, and what will it pay for? For example, will it pay for people to use technology infrastructure? Will it allow them to use research infrastructure inside? So this gave us a really granular, detailed picture of what was going on in the region for those two different groups, perhaps. But it also led us to a major new thought process for me, because one of the things that was extremely clear was this huge overlap. And that's probably not a surprise. I mean, we're not a big system out in the Western Balkans. And we will often see a hub that has it has both forms of startups under its roof. So this here just briefly shows you the main supporting hubs for our 6 different economies, and where you've got people who are only supporting green, people who only seem to have blue under the roof, and where you've got both. So Spark in Mostar has both under the roof, as does SDP Belgrade, Officina are also supporting them. And I think it's not necessarily the case that this is deliberate. I think very often startups, scale-ups will go to their closest hub, or they'll stay close to their original institution, university, wherever they've emerged from. And I think if you're an innovation hub, you'll kind of want anybody under your roof who looks innovative, looks as if you've got scalability. You're not necessarily distinguishing. But this gives you potential. Because if you are a hub and you've already got both sectors under your roof, and you understand both of them, and you support them, and you see synergies, then you can leverage off that. You can start to consolidate. You can make that deliberate for what you're doing. We did the same thing with the research performing organisation strengths. We said, well, okay, if we take all these different subsectors that we're looking at, and we look at the strongest institutes that we've identified, where do we have overlap? Do we? And the answer is, yeah, we very definitely do. We have research teams who are doing work in deep tech, who are also doing work in what we would call green manufacturing. And we also look as if we have pretty good coverage of many of those subsectors. Not all of them, but there's good coverage of a lot of them in the region. And then you can look at the companies themselves, and you can say, well, where do we seem to have synergies? So, for example, where do we have a deep tech startup that is developing technology that actually would be really very useful in green manufacturing? And again, you can see this emerging. So this here down one side shows deep tech, and along the top it shows the green manufacturing. And we then look at where we see overlaps between those 2 different groups. And if it's dark green, we're seeing potential really to bring those 2 together. So you can take this further. You can say, okay, let's start looking at where we have cross-sectoral value chain opportunities. For example, if we took advanced materials and we crossed that with circular economy and eco-packaging, what's the potential for us bringing together all these different aspects, the companies, the hubs with their technology infrastructure, and the funding? And we did that, and we identified 5 major value chain opportunities, which gave us what we would call high impact white spaces for innovation. So, for example, there's clearly an opportunity for production of eco-packaging for regional food and cosmetic industries. And we see opportunities for smart renewable energy systems coming out of the deep tech that would feed into affordable microgrid controllers and battery management units for the green manufacturing. We see those white spaces. And if you then take those 5 opportunities and you plot them and you say, now show me the organizations that would need to be involved in order to make this work. Again, this is a thought process. I'm not endorsing any of these organizations, but if we look at them, we can start to see where you would need to join the dots. So, for example, if you wanted to have a pilot, perhaps if you want to have the technology infrastructure to support scaling something up in renewable hardware systems and smart grids, you would then be looking at people like ICK, NTP Montenegro, STP Belgrade, and the University of Montenegro. You would need to bring those together. And if you were looking at advanced and sustainable materials, you're looking at UKIM, you're looking at Biosense, Innova, now as a funding agency, TechSpace, and Technopolis. So you start to be able to translate all this information and all this data into some opportunities for building up the technology infrastructure, the research infrastructure, and what glues them together, which is very often services and funding. And again, just extremely briefly, if I take those opportunities and I put the names of the companies, the organizations on, again, none of this should come as a surprise to us. We have Technopolis, STP Novi Sad, we have Interra, each one of them linked in to a particular opportunity space. So it can be, I find, quite depressing at times if what you're doing is looking towards research infrastructure at European level and technology infrastructure at European level, and so much of a case has been made for investment in the Western Balkans and CEE, and we wait for the money. And I'm somebody who says, what can we do with what we've got? Because if I don't have it, maybe somebody else does. And if we join forces and if we share that and we invest into what we've got, particularly in technology infrastructure, maybe what we can do is advance our twin transition. But what would be key to this is making our research infrastructure and our technology infrastructure open. Now, for papers, we have FAIR, we know what it means. For infrastructure, for technology infrastructure, what do we mean by open? Well, for me, it's got to be accessible, which means legally accessible, which is a working open access policy. It's got to be affordable, which probably means that the funding agencies need to start giving grants that will work cross-region. It's also got to be findable. It's got to be really well promoted, and it needs to be supported, which I think means services being delivered through hubs. So, how do we make regional infrastructure open? How do we increase visibility? How do we increase access? And how do we improve hub services so that we could build on really good recent regional digital innovation hub experiences? And that is the point, my pinger just having gone off. Well, what I want to do is hand over to the 2 colleagues who've joined us today, Damir Medved and Siniša Marčić from RCC, to get them to talk about what they are doing at the moment to make research infrastructure and technology infrastructure more obvious, more accessible, linking us together and building the hub network. Siniša, do you want to start at this point if I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you for the presentation. It gives us a very good overview. And thank you, of course, for featuring the Regional Cooperation Council study on mapping the document in deep tech and in green tech manufacturing. I'm quite proud with this document. Just to let you know, it's going to be public. We are currently in the design phase, and it will be available as a PDF file on our websites. And we will widely disseminate. I believe it's very valuable. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that we have such an overview, a regional overview in deep tech in particular, which is very much interesting topic or industry to the European Commission, but also green tech, which is gaining traction too. Just before I hand over to Damir, because the purpose is not really to spotlight me, the purpose is to spotlight his demonstration of our matchmaking, regional online matchmaking platform that will hopefully effectively connect research organizations, research facilities, research infrastructures, and innovation, or as Lisa pointed out, technology infrastructures in the Western Balkans, but even in the wider region, including Croatia and Slovenia. We hope to have some of these infrastructures introduced as well. It's going to be pretty much everything you mentioned, Lisa. It's going to follow essentially FAIR principle. Many of you are familiar with it, but it's going to be free of charge for the end users. It's going to be very intuitive. And we hope also to have businesses also onboarded very soon. We are currently discussing options with European Enterprise Europe. And this is going to be probably the best way to connect businesses and research community, which is one of the weakest links, as you well know, in most of Eastern Europe, and particularly in our region. This is one of the This is going to be a combination of our political processes that started back in 2018, 2019, when we decided to introduce such a platform. That was before I joined the RCC, but then the COVID kicked in, and we simply had to prioritize other stuff. I believe this is going to be very, very valuable to many organizations in the region. We hope to have additional elements introduced at a later stage. We are currently in the piloting phase, and we would also very much appreciate your input and your suggestions on how to improve. Just yet, we had the first focus group. This is going to be the first live public demonstration of the platform, but please bear in mind that it's still a work in progress. It's heavily based on AI functionalities, as Lisa mentioned. This opens a whole new universe to us. But without going into too many details, because we are short in time, I would like to hand over to Damir, and then later on through the Q&A session, perhaps we can respond to any queries that might arise during his presentation. So Damir, if that's okay, please take over and try to keep it to 10-minute bracket, and then later on we will try to respond to anything that may be interesting to our audience. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you see my screen. Is it shared?
We can, please. We see it. Please proceed.
Okay, good. So as said, the key idea of building of this platform was to have, first of all, as simple as possible the interfaces. It will be user friendly. It should be very easy to search for the content. It should be easy to store the result of the searches. But what is more important, the platform should allow you to enter the data or to correct the data in most efficient way. Based on our previous experiences and previous project, one of the fundamental problems is not so much building a platform, but is the answer to the question who and why will enter the data, why somebody will join the platform, who will maintain the data that is inside the platform, and so forth. So if we can manage to do this, then we believe that everything will be successful. So I will go to the platform and show you some of the aspects, and what is probably more important to demonstrate you how easy is actually if you as a researcher or as an institution or as a company are joining the platform, and how easy basically is collect the data. The key idea was that you should type as less as possible. Idea is that you are using the AI technologies to collect the data, to fill the different databases what we currently have, to collect data online, and then basically we can start using the platform. The starting point for the platform is, as you can see, its entry point. Again, it is a basically test instance of a platform. There are some general information here in the beginning, but the real, I would say, activities are starting when you are inside the platform. The platform is organized in a way that is quite familiar to kind of ChatGPT or any kind of browser way of working. The entire platform is there are different sections which are present here. So this is the main workspace, main work area, where you can have a different, you can see the different aspects of your historical searches. You can put here the favorites. You can immediately try to search by particular keywords or descriptions or whatever. For example, we can start here. There are two types of the search available. The first type is if you are searching about a keyword. So these are keywords that are entered, that the users entered in the platform or that were deducted for the platform. So this is kind of a little bit restricted on the specific subjects that are present there. And more wider approach is what we call semantic search. And this is AI generated search of the additional information that we are collected inside the platform, and it's giving you much wider perspective about the data. And what is also quite important is giving you different ranking of what we have in the system. So let's we can try here to, I will show you first the casual way or the classical way. So we can start here with the simple keywords like the energy. It's a very simple thing. I think what is important, we can search different entities which are present inside. The whole data is organized in a 3 key domain. First domain is infrastructure. So this is the all software, all the equipment that is available. The second are institutions, where all this equipment is located. And third one are researchers or the persons inside. So with these 3 key entities, there are obviously a number of the sub-entities. You can have really different types of interactions. So if you put energy here, now you can see that you get different types of these institutions. You're getting basically everything. So you are getting the institutions, you're getting the companies, you get other equipment, specific is that you can try, for example, you can here start with this kind of the search. Also, if you activate the search, you can have not just the keywords, but you can make sentences. For example, we can say energy, let's say renewable. Something like that. So in that sense, there are now basically searching for the equipment that is available in particular area. We can see the problem that not all the data what is maybe does not have all the, for example, researcher, but maybe researcher the data where is located, where is this is not present. So in that, if on the different aspects, and I'll show a little bit in a forward how, for example, we can use the chat to further research. So for example, if we put a kind of AI technologies here, then again you are getting all different types, along different locations. Here you can see there are some companies which registered also which are outside of the region where we are. This is very important because so here you can see, for example, that we have the organizations from but actually the idea is that the platform is built in a way that is enabling basically participants for all around the world. If you were talking about the European project like that, then in that wider search, we can really try to narrow specific type of the. If you are during this process, for example, if you are collecting some interesting people or some interesting equipment or some interesting institution, you can put these into what we call the favorites, and then you can have a kind of a bucket where you can store some interesting people or organization where you may in the future connect regarding some specific project. So in that sense, you can see, for example, here I put the demonstration so that we can have the the center from University of Rijeka. We have a center for smart sustainable cities. We have location, you have a contact info, and so forth. So basically, with this approach, you can create your own instance. You can have your own data inside, and then you can really create kind of the ecosystem which you can then use for the further activities. The third component here is AI chat, where you can have completely open conversation. For example, the system is asking or querying the data what we have inside the platform. So in that sense, for example, if I ask, for example, something like that. So in this sense, the system is tracking inside the database. It's looking what is the research areas, who are the researchers inside, who is the present, and then you can find, because there is a lot of the data inside, and then you can immediately see details about that specific researchers, some Google Scholar data, social networks, specific research areas, and stuff like that. Now, one of the questions can be, okay, now we have a person here, there's a lot of data about this person, so how we can fill the data, so how that can be brought in. Now we are coming to maybe the key part of the platform, and that's what we call the profile builder. The profile builder is a tool that is enabling you with just a few clicks and with the help of the AI that you can enter the data inside the platform. You can add the person, other persons inside. You can put additional information. You can check the information about the organizations, and you can use the multiple ways to do it. Then let me show you very shortly. Now, one thing which is quite important to understand is that all this platform, all is AI components that are running locally. So these components are not the infrastructure or the AI, LLM, large language models, everything are all run on the local infrastructure. So the information are not going outside, they're not going outside of Europe or outside of the region, and that is giving you, I would say, increased security and reliability of all of that. Now I will give you one of the examples how you can add a person, but this is the principle is actually identical for all the aspects of work. Let's say that in this organization, I would like to add the researcher. Now, typically you will ask a person to type or retype the data or fill it, and this is really very slow activity. So here, what I will show you, we can collect the data from the website, we can collect from the document, we can have a plain text, or we can fill it by a dialogue. So in particular case, I will show you, for example, if I would like to add a researcher, I can choose some data, some CV from that researcher. Let me choose some example I have here. For example, this is example of a person. Now, what is important is that with this kind of approach, that we can harvest data from a EU type of CV or any kind of CV, that we can connect to the website, and then we can extract the data from the website and so forth. It's giving us ability to basically simplify the extraction and the process what is here. So you can see here that from a PDF document that was CV of that particular person, we collected quite a lot of the data. And what is also important, so here then now we can correct here if something is not correctly done. So I'll put here, for example, for a name, you can see the title of the person, you can see the biography of that particular person, some kind of emails, you can specify the language. But what is more important, what we collected are specific expertises, specific research areas, and specific keywords. So this is really helpful because if you are trying to build a matchmaking system, it is very important that while we are entering the data in a system, you can have all these data, because in a second moment, all this data is now participating in all matchmaking, in all research process. So in that sense, you can see that a lot of the work is already done. We can put now institution name and so forth. And now we are basically very easily we can create we can put here the institution name, like let's say University of Rijeka, and that will be kind of Center for FinTech or something like that. We can then collect some additional, see if there are any additional data which is present there, like ORCID data, Google Scholar, and so forth. And also what can be done, we can also maybe, I will add some additional, because there are multiple profiles, I will add here something like that. Okay, so we have some, there is some difficult problems. Okay. Anyway, so in this way, the system is able, so there is some glitch here, probably the email or something is verifying it's not properly closed. So in that sense, with this collected data, the system is entering the data, the platform is filled, and then you are basically getting the information inside. The very similar thing or very similar approach is if you are going back to, for example, to try to build the company profile. So, for example, if we have a organization like what we have here, it's our center. So we can update data here, or we can go here to the area which is called the build a profile. And then in this build profile, we can create a new profile just collecting data from the web page. So let me show you now. I will give some test here. Some test institution, and I will choose the web URL for collecting the data. And now, for example, I will take some page of a company that is present. I can put this company data here, and again we will start this extracting process. So the extracting process is going to the web page and try to connect or collect all information regarding what this company is working on. Are there any specific keywords or any specific interest there? Do they have any specific products and things like that? So for example, here you can see that we extracted some of the data that is available. We call this test institution, what this institution is working on. Where is this institution located? So for example, if this data is not available on a web page, we can put here, for example, this institution is organization is, I don't know, in Rijeka, in Croatia. And then, for example, so we can extract some further. Data. We can get the coordinates of that particular address and so forth. So as you can see, we can add the website, some contacts, and so forth. So basically, in this sense, the platform is fully parametric. We are still in the test phase, but now we are starting this process where we will discuss all the components of the platform with the focus groups, and we will identify what all elements which are present here, which can be extracted, what of these elements are really necessary to be here, for example, and that we will be able to collect all the necessary and automatically save the data inside. So this is basically the way how with just a few clicks, you can collect the data about the researcher from the CV or from some public profile or the profile which is outside, which is maybe on some system, on some platform or already present, to avoid retyping. The second thing, we can collect data about the institution, everything, and also we can collect the data about specific applicant which is present. When this is done, when this process is basically finished, then we have something like that we can have let's say, a responsible person, institution, researchers which are present there. We can have different matchmaking goals. The matchmaking goals means which when we are making some researcher, when I'm researching something, I can put what is the area, so what are my goals in that research. And then all this, the AI, which is in background, will use all this information present to find the best fit. Something what Lisa showed there on that screen. So when we have all information present, we will try to find the best fit. For example, we can say that you see here what is goal of this organization is joint research and knowledge transfer. So that particularly means that when I will make different searches here, they will try to find from my research interest, they will find what are the organizations around in the region or in specific areas that have a similar interest? Do they have any ongoing projects? What is the stage of those projects? Can I join these projects, and so forth? So this is quite, I would say, interesting. That the entire logic of the entire platform is basically just a few screens, but there is a lot of the things which are going or working into the background. I will stop with that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because I was about to ask you to stop here, and perhaps we can hear from our audience if we have any questions or anything that the audience would like to learn more about. Thank you very much.
Siniša, while we do that, I want to put one final slide up as we move into the question and answer, if I may, just to finally round this off.
But Damir need to stop sharing the screen first.
I'm stopped, but probably you should take over. You know the problem we have.
I think I might have just done that. Because I want to thank both Siniša and Damir, because what this really illustrates is that once this platform is up and running, actually being able to make yourself visible or identify a person or an organization or infrastructure that you want to use should be massively improved. But once you have done that, then you have to find a way of working with them. And particularly for technology infrastructure, that for me then means services. You need to have your hubs or your universities offering access and services. And I'm very, very briefly going to highlight something that happened on Friday. I'm being extremely careful about this because this is only a few days old and it's not confirmed. But on Friday, I received a call to say that a CSA project, a Horizon Euro project called Wings, had been invited now to negotiate a grant contract with the European Commission, i.e. it scored highly enough to be funded. But obviously we don't get the project until the ink is dry on the grant agreement, and I was very careful about this. But if this comes off, then under one of our work packages for this, we will be helping to introduce core knowledge transfer services. They are linked to research in infrastructure and technology infrastructure. We will have support for adoption, so you can get a champion to come in and help you set up this service that is tied in with a particular piece of infrastructure. That's going to be led by KTU in the Lithuanian valleys, which really led on this, and they're also a very small country out in the Baltic states. Regional Cooperation Council is a full partner in Wings, as is the University of Rijeka, I add as well too. But in terms of being there for the Western Balkans and making sure that the Western Balkans get real access to this Horizon Europe CSA, that will be the RCC. So a little bit watch this space as we move towards actually securing that grant from the European Commission. Thank you.
So I would like to, first of all, to thank all of you for a great presentation, for also information on the upcoming news, and for this demonstration of interactive platforms. We will have now 12 minutes time for questions, and I'm sure that we will receive a lot of questions now, but just let me make one remark. I'm super happy for this interactive platform. It's now, I think, nearly more than 7 years when we had a dream to have such a platform for the Western Balkan. We did mapping of the research infrastructure in each of the Western Balkan economies. It was like always book printed with information, but very hard to update. And what I see now, and I really congratulate you, it's not only meant now interactive platform for open access in terms to borrow equipment, share equipment, but also to go broader, to look for the cooperation, collaboration, technology transfer. So from my side, congratulations. With this, I now ask audience to ask a question to our speakers.
We've had one from Ludmila. We've had one from Ludmila that's gone into the chat box.
Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, I would like to maybe Branka, since I see you here also typing, maybe I invite you to ask question why I will first read Ludmila text.
Hello, everyone. And thank you for this presentation, and really looks a great job that you have done. since I know that the universities are planning or in the middle of implementing maybe something of their own, maybe that this platform could be a solution for them as well. So I think that they should officially be introduced and informed through some official letters or something like that about the platform and the opportunity to be listed here. And it's really nicely done and easy to be used. So it's really great. Congratulations.
So any comment to Branka's?
Sanja, if I may,
Yes, please.
because the question is addressed to me, really. Of course, the idea is to have this platform absolutely available to all interested parties in the wider region, not only in the Western Balkans. Universities, businesses, individual businesses, various hubs, innovation infrastructures, research organization, research performing organization, all of them will be invited to contribute their data. Some of that data we already inserted in the platform thanks to these AI functionalities. And even now, although it's in the test phase, you can find a plethora of very, very useful information out there. At a later stage, we will officially address universities through the Rectors Forum of Southeast Europe and the Western Balkans. I collaborate with them practically on regular basis. And this will be, of course, a very useful add-on to the attempts to feature their research and innovation infrastructures publicly. Many universities do not have these capacities, and this platform aims to bridge this gap.
Thanks, Siniša. So I will now read Ludmila. I will first read Ludmila question, and then I will give the floor to, I forgot now, I don't see, Christina, exactly. So Ludmila, she asked, why would the stakeholder join the platform and who will manage it? And what are the options for the platform promotion? And she then comments, while the value of the platform is clear, the benefit of such a platform, especially in the long term, are uncertain. So who would like to answer to Ludmila?
It's me again.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, the idea is to have this entirely free of charge access to any interested party in the region. Now, I fully understand some of the concerns. Who is going to manage it? It's going to be the RCC. The RCC is going to be hosted on our server. Right now, it's on Syntagent's test environment server somewhere, I don't know. And we are going to be in charge of managing the platform. Thanks to advances in the AI, we will be able much easier to populate the platform with additional data, including businesses and some other partners. Also note that the platform is designed in such a way, and Damir perhaps can explain this much better than I, that we can easily add additional dimensions of the platform. For example, one of the things that we are considering is matchmaking our research community with our this is enormous potential. That what are the options for the platform promotion? This is going to be one of the most critical segments in the implementation of this project. Namely, we can create, as Damir well pointed out yesterday, an ideal platform out there. But unless people are aware of its existence and unless they actually use it, it's going to be just another lost interesting initiative. So we encourage all the partners in the region, and I will be touring this region and speaking at various events this year, trying to persuade as many of our partners to contribute their data, but also to use it. Now, in terms of its effectiveness, I fully understand that if this is open to everyone and if everyone can use it, very few people will use it at the end of the day. Why? Because we have such a research culture in the region. However, my goal here is not to really encourage to get everyone on board. We want to encourage those who actually are active and who would do this anyway. And this is going to be, even if you log in now to the platform and you do a basic search, if you're interested in project proposal writing, forming consortia, entering new projects, just exploring opportunities, this will give you, I'd say, unparalleled opportunities to find adequate partners elsewhere. And that's the whole purpose of it. So in a way, that I suppose answers these questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Siniša. Now, Kristina.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for the presentation and for the all the information that you provided and all the work behind that. Just 2 points I wanted to raise. First of all, if you would like to enhance your reach out and to promote the platform and everything that you are doing, you know that you can always rely on that strategy point. I put in chat my email address. Our communication officer will be happy to spread the news and to spread the information about you. And the second point that I would like to, this is a question actually, on the website, I couldn't see when you shared the presentation, your presentation of the platform. Is there a manual on how to use the platform, how to do all the steps that you described, for example, in your presentation when you introduce the platform?
Yeah, so we are exactly now working on that. Again, this is a test infrastructure. It's not production platform. It's not something that is meant to be released now to do big audience, because it's running on a test and development infrastructure. But anyway, what is available would be available from the next week. We are working on a YouTube material, so this will be a training material around 5 minutes, 10 minutes long, which will explain exactly all the typical workflows you can have. So it will explain you from when you are coming to the platform and then you want to register, and something what I was shortly explaining. So that will be one thing. And the second thing, that will be Q&A session, and basically typical questions, how to use the platform. It will be embedded in the platform. And that will be from the next week. So from the next week, I would say that we will sort out, first of all, very important thing here inside the system, there is a test data, so that you have to be think about. Now, more idea is not so much quality of the data, but the testing of the flows, of workflows, of the infrastructure, collecting some new ideas. Maybe you'd like to have some additional functionality and something like that. So that we are now in this stage with the focus group. But as said, the platform is available from this moment. Siniša can share the link so you can a little bit test how everything is working. But keep in mind, or have in mind, this is a test infrastructure, it's not production server. So maybe sometimes can be a little bit slower if there are many users on it. But training materials will be available from the next week.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Damir, thank you for this. And if I may add, Lisa, Sanja, we would like to invite some of the colleagues also in this call to access the platform and test it via their computers, so as to provide us a very, very valuable feedback that we require to make it even more better and more sophisticated. Yesterday, we had a focus group with Enterprise Europe Network, and that proved to be very, very useful, despite some technical glitches we had. So if that's okay with you, please share contacts, and then we can forward this links, can register and employ it in that environment. Thank you.
Very good. So I don't see any hand raise, and we are approaching the end of the webinar. With that, there is still 1 minute left. I have one question. Are you planning also to add into your interactive platform opportunity to join large-scale European research infrastructures like ERIC, S3, like CERN, like FAIR-GSIM, currently now ESS, because you mentioned diaspora, we have so many people and there are so many opportunities actually when you join such large-scale infrastructure. Is it planned to include that option as well?
Frankly speaking, we haven't thought about including a large-scale infrastructures. The focus was and is on the Western Balkans and slightly kind of narrower Southeast Europe. But this is something that we can discuss. I don't mind. I believe Damir and the team can easily introduce this different layer to it, and I suppose we could do it easily. Damir, what do you think?
Well, again, it's not the problem of the software. Basically, it's just a question of the hardware. So if you have many users and so forth, you need a little bit more the hardware. That's, again, it's not a big issue. So I'd say that the platform is infinitely scalable, you know. So basically now it's running on some relatively small machine. If you have a bigger, let's say bigger virtual machine, it can have much more data, much more real-time users and so forth. So from that point of view, I don't see any problem of adding. And other thing, well, maybe we mentioned that yesterday, what I was trying to show you today was kind of manual flow, entering something with a few clicks. But if there are good, clean data sets that can be used for loading some data inside, for example, some data sets about equipment on particular institution or something like that, and if they are keen to provide this, then it's fine. We have to take care about the GDPR and all these kind of legal aspects behind. That's the reason why somehow the people we would like to avoid that we are putting somebody on a system without the permit of that system. So that's not a good practice. So, but that will be again clear in this focus group in next days, and then we can make a final configuration.
Very
Sanja,
good.
Sanja, if I may just recapitulate, in a way, this is still in the test phase. The idea is to have to populate the platform with as many data as we can. Have it officially launched in the second half of 2026. So within the next several months, we'll be working on resolving all different kinds of requests and suggestions that we receive from partners such as you, populating the platform and promoting it then onwards. And as of then, it will be freely available to everyone. So at this stage, it simply isn't a publicly available platform, although we can share the link for you to test it yourselves.
Okay, thank you very much. And with this, we are now closing our webinar. And this is the last slide. Probably you know the Policy Answer project will end soon, but we invite you to follow our activities on the Western Balkan Info Hub and our EU Western Balkan platform. And Siniša, if you give us this link, we can, of course, for example, edit on our EU Western Balkan policy dialogue platform, and we have there already nearly 300 profiles. So we will do, if you give us the link, instruction, we will do everything to promote your great work. So with this, I thank all of you and speakers, but I also need to thank the team from Policy Answer who helped me today, Desiree, Ines, and Janine. Thanks a lot, and hopefully see you next time. We will have at least one more webinar until the end of the project. So thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.